In Monaco, you have the option to take a helicopter ride from the airport. Over the next month, I'm going to show you all of the most extravagant and cheap dining and nightlife the city has to offer. I'm going to bring you along with me when I gamble at Monte Carlo Casino. Plus, I'm going to show, which might include a live recorded hand. I'll introduce you to all of the neighborhoods on this cliffside country, including some hidden gems. And yes, there are hidden gems in this 1 square mile country. By the end, you're gonna feel like a local. Let's go.
So when you're flying private, you get to avoid all of the security in the back and you get to go straight into your gate. So if you're deciding on whether to do the private jet flight to or from the airport, it makes a lot more sense coming to the airport because you get to skip all that nonsense. Impressions of Monaco are positive. It's like Dubai, except better. It's got clean streets. You know, I'm a stickler for this. It's a minimum requirement for governments. Clean air and clean water. It's walkable, of course, minus the steps here. If you're out of shape, you're gonna get in shape. It's impeccably clean. Pretty sure this is the cleanest dog shit in the world right now. It's not as expensive as you would guess it might be. I've had a dinner last night at a fancier, more well-known place, $82. Espresso, $2.50. So today, I hired a professional photographer. That was 2.5 hours, I think she gave me, for 200 euros.
Good.
And right now I'm going to get an evening workout in at the bars here I found on the pier because tomorrow is a holiday. It's a no working holiday. There's, as far as I understand, here in Europe, May 1st, just don't work. And one of the unique things about Monaco is that the richest of the rich, they don't actually show off. So the guys driving the Ferraris, those guys are very wealthy. It costs, you have to have $1 million to open a bank account here, but they're not the real rich. But the real rich, people don't know who they are because they don't allow photos. They're just walking around amongst people. You and me, they look like you and me, and you would never guess. And also in these buildings, for example, here, every new building has to have a portion that is for the locals. So can you guess which portion of this building is for locals? That portion is for the locals. These portions obviously look more expensive. Those are for the people who want to pay. And the most expensive apartment building in the world, up there, it's 4 stories. It's got a helipad, and it costs 600 million euros. Oof, that's a different type of wealth. Now, Monaco has 11 neighborhoods. It's built onto kind of the side of a cliff. So if you come here on an Airbnb, just know if you have a nice view, if you're high up, that means you're gonna have to be walking a lot of steps. And today I did that 3 times up and back. That is a workout. I will say the people here are friendly so far. I've stopped numerous people on the street and they've all stopped and talked and sometimes had a long chat, including pretty women. Tonight I will go out to eat dinner and then I will go to the casino. And you know what? You're not allowed to record in the casino. But I'm gonna wear my contacts with my Ray-Ban Meta glasses. We're gonna see in that casino. I'm gonna even try and get some hands in on the glasses. It's pretty nerve-wracking when I'm in there. Up a little bit late last night after my Monte Carlo Casino gambling. I played blackjack, which don't recommend you play because of the rules of the casino. They've got those automatic card shufflers, which makes counting cards impossible. And that's kind of the only fun of the game for me. Otherwise, I know certainly that I'm gonna lose. I got a little loose at the end there. I think I bet 150 or 200 bucks on my last couple hands. I started with 250 euros. So if you're interested about playing blackjack though, I have an article on my blog that outlines how I count cards, but a simpler way because it requires a lot of mental bandwidth to count cards the real way. Remember on ATMs, whenever they do the conversion rate, if they're outside your home country, always click decline and you still get money. Behind me here, that is Monaco's bike sharing service, except they're electrified and surprisingly cheap, which is a common theme of this city. It's $1 for 30 minutes or €3 for a day pass. That's cheap. Part of the reason I'm able to stay in shape while I travel is because of this. I cook and I count my calories. This is 1,300 calories. It's a little bit more than I would usually eat, but I skipped breakfast today. We've got salmon, onions, avocado, and lentils, about 70 grams of carbs and fat, 90 grams of protein, and if I'm going to eat out and explore the local culinary scene, that I will save for dinner. All right, tonight I'm gonna go to Sexy Tacos. I tried to come here the other night. This is gonna be a cheap meal for Monaco standards, actually medium sized. It is over the beach here. So I'll let you know how that food looks, how the menu looks, and what the final price is. Gonna try and keep it under 100 bucks this time. This is the Ligurian Sea. It's the northern part of the Mediterranean Sea, which touches France and Italy. This is the main port. From the other side, I've been walking on that side a lot. That's where the casino is. In front of me is the workout area. There's 3 of them. I'll identify on the map. And this one is better than the other 2 I've seen. Monaco is a monarchy, and behind me is the Prince's Palace. The unique thing here is that he actually lives here. This is his residence. Now, a monarchy similar to England, as you're more familiar with probably, except here, he actually has power, the prince. His name is Prince Albert, and his great-great-great-great-grandfather, way back in 1292, Prince Francois, snuck in here, disguised as a monk, and took over this area. And since then, they have been the ruling family. Now, is that story true? It's unlikely, but they're the winners and they get to write history, and I, for one, am going to believe it. They have been in power for over 700 years. The last name is Grimaldi. And actually, my very first night here, I seen him in the Monte Carlo Plaza. And I talked to some people who lived here for years. They've never seen the guy once. But he does actually live here. Okay, the problem with renting my place with a nice view is this. Every day. Anytime I want to do anything. I just got out of the grocery store. The interesting thing is that the salmon is just as expensive as the chicken. 42 euros per kilogram. On my website, I keep track of about a dozen different things. How much an Airbnb costs, or a gym membership, a taxi ride, a massage, some fruits and vegetables, things at the grocery store. So the interesting thing about that is the wine. The cheapest wine was what, 3 or 4 euros? You can live here pretty, okay, not cheap, but affordable. The cheapest goods are pretty much the same price everywhere I go, whether it's a third world country, Laos, communist country, Colombia. It's about the same price for the cheapest wine. I learned an interesting fact about this place. The locals are called Monégasque, and there was only 104 of them born in 2024. And another about 100 received residency. People outside of this local area. Only 104 Monégasque babies born in 2024. I'm headed now to have dinner at Amazonica. I got recommended that from some guys I met at the gym today, and that's one of the cool things about being here in Monaco. You can meet a vast array of interesting people. This guy turned out to be a Formula One racer. I met another guy. He's like a dancer. He has a dance festival in Croatia. Another tech entrepreneur from the USA sold his company and now he's retired here. Models, of course, lots of models you can meet. First day that's not clear blue skies. I'm creating a map of all of the stairs, escalators, and elevators in this city because it's on a mountain cliff. It's actually incredible how the city has organized around this mountain cliff, but you really want to get familiar with these steps. But if you don't, it's a win-win because you're going to lose some weight. You're going to get some big legs. This street specifically is full of escalators all the way to the top. So I just found this little gem out, and then also the elevators, they're not so obvious and they're not identifiable on a map. On Google Maps, you're not going to find them. So I will do that for you. Monaco has very nice weather year-round. It only rains on average a few days every month. From April to October, the average temperature is about 65 degrees. And behind me is Lavarto Beach, which was an extension man-made. In front of me, I'm going to show you in a moment, I think the most expensive real estate in the world, with the smallest apartments at about 3,500 square feet. They won't say the exact price, but it starts at 100,000 per square meter. The thing about Monaco is that it is small, but 100% of it is nice and worth exploring. Plus, they've got a lot from casino to beach, high-end restaurants and club scene. So it feels like a big city. This means I'm almost home. Okay. Welcome to the view from my Airbnb. I'll show you my lunch here. We've got salmon, asparagus, lentils, and onions with some olive oil. We got about 30 grams of carbs, 60 grams of fat, and 70 grams of protein. Now, I cook and I count my calories, and that is the secret. That is my secret for staying fit and healthy. And the reason why I'm sharing this is because I met a girl at the gym, Ukrainian model. Oh, excuse me, I don't know if she's a model. She probably could be. Some kind of a bodybuilding champion. Oh, fitness, physique champion. And she was telling me that she also counts her calories. She's 35 years old. She has abs. She looks great. She counts her calories. I met some guy in Rio who also looks great. He counts his calories. But really, if you want to look good, you need to count your calories, because in the world we live in, there's such an excess of calories, you're not going to even notice. And you gain weight, you're not going to even notice until, a couple years go by, you gain a couple kilos, and then you notice. You go to the gym, you get fit, you try and get fit, and then you give up because it's a shock to your system. You go 7 days a week, you gain a few more kilos. That's how the process goes for billions of people on this planet, literally. The way around that is to know what's going in. It's very simple. It's not hard to count your calories. In fact, one day in the future, I believe we'll have some kind of system where I'll know exactly how many calories I just put in my mouth. I'll know exactly how many calories my body has used up to metabolize the calories. As you know, I travel, and I've been traveling for a decade. Generally, I move every month. I am the same person, more or less. My attitude, my behavior, it's the same no matter where I'm at. Try and be friendly, try and be nice, try and be generous. I look the same, certainly. And I want to share a message with anyone who is feeling unsatisfied with where they're at. Physically, I mean like a location. And you only really realize this once you start traveling. So, for my personal story, I lived in San Francisco for a very long time, and it was full of men. There's a engineer-heavy jobs that you would go to a bar and it'd just be full of men, and I'd be like, well, that's not fun, but it was kind of normal to me. And then I started traveling. I've noticed this for a while, obviously, but I've had an interesting experience, and the general topic is go to where it treats you best in all aspects of life. And it's generally not where you're born. Imagine if you're an investor, let's say Airbnb investing, something I'm familiar with. If I'm from Monaco and I just want to invest in Monaco, I could probably find a good deal, but I've really limited my search. If I look at 10 cities, well, then now my analysis is going to tell me which of the 10 cities is the best for me. If I look at 100 cities, now I have my analysis to tell me which one of these 100 cities is going to be the best ROI for me. There are some places in this world where it's easy for me to make friends. It's easy for me to meet girls. There's other places, and when we're talking about a business sense, some places where it's easy to make business connections. And if you're running an online business, a consulting, that's probably a consideration for you. And then there's other cities which makes all those things more difficult. So in San Francisco, great place for networking. And you can make the dating work, plenty of beautiful women there. But other places, very easy for dating and maybe not so much for networking. So keep that in mind. If you're not happy with where you're at, if you're maybe feeling depressed or down or whatever, do consider travel.